I'll share.
हरे कृष्णा को लिंक दे दीजिएगा ताकि लिंक
ISKCON Columbus पे YouTube.
शेयर करना हो तो
ये लिंक वहाँ से शेयर कर दीजिएगा.
यहीं से शेयर
हाँ,
कर
यहाँ पे आपको
ठीक है.
हाँ, you can share in the WhatsApp. Thank you.
So we can start by reading the Sanskrit part of this. We can do line by line so I can say and then everyone can repeat. Arjuna Vacha Nashto Mohasmite Labha
Nashto mohasmite labha
Tvat Prasada Maya Chuta
Tvat prasada maya chuta
Stitosmi Gata Sandeya
Stitosmi gata sandeha
Kareshe Vachanam Tava
Karishye vachanam tava.
Would anyone else like to recite?
Arjuna Nashto mohasmite labha
Tvat prasadam maya chuta
Stitosmi gata sandeha Karishye vachanam tava.
Arjuna Vacha
Arjuna vacha
Nashto Mohasmite Labda
Nashto mohasmite labha
Prasada Mayachyuta
Tvat prasadam maya chuta Stitosmi gata sandeha
Vachanam Tava
Karishye vachanam tava.
Arjuna Uvacha
Arjuna vacha
Nastamoha Smritilabdha
Nashto mohasmite labha
Vatprasadan Mayachyuta
Tvat prasadam maya chuta
Stitosmi Gata Sandeha
Stitosmi gata sandeha
Karishye Vachanam Tava
Karishye vachanam tava.
Thank you. So this is a translation. Arjuna said, "My dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt and am prepared to act according to your instructions." So here Arjuna, in Bhagavad Gita 2.7, Arjuna had surrendered unto Krishna in a state of confusion. He didn't have clarity of mind. He was confused about what his duty actually was. However, now through the course of the Bhagavad Gita, in 18.73 here, Arjuna is saying, now all my confusion is gone. Since I have surrendered to you, I now have clarity of mind. I have regained my memory. I know my constitutional position is to be your servant. So there's two important things that I want to talk about here, like two important words. Arjuna calls Krishna infallible one. Infallible means one who does not have any faults. So this is really important for us devotees to understand because many times there's obstacles in our life, there's problems in our life, there are certain maybe what we see as unfavorable things in our life, and we think, oh Krishna, did you really mean to do this to me? You know, I'm a devotee, I go to the temple, why did this happen to me? This must be some mistake. And then we start seeing Krishna with this wrong lens that he makes mistakes. But that's not true. Every single obstacle that is given to us is meant to make us grow more in our bhakti, and grow more as a person emotionally, physically, in many ways. So we should never think that, oh, Krishna has made a problem in my life, so he's at fault. No, he's never at fault. Every single little thing that happens to us is all part of Krishna's perfect plan, and that will perfectly be executed if we don't, try to intrude or try to fault Krishna, then his perfect plan will be given to us. So we just have to make sure that we're always keeping faith that Krishna, he's infallible. He never has any faults. Everything for him is very perfect, and he has a very perfect plan for each and every one of us. So in hopes of trying to understand every section of the purport, since it's a bit of a long purport better, split it into multiple slides so we can talk about each section and then have a discussion. So this is the first part of the purport. The constitutional position of a living entity represented by Arjuna is that he has to act according to the order of the Supreme Lord. He is meant for self-discipline. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that the actual position of the living entity is that of eternal servant of the Supreme Lord. Forgetting this principle, the living entity becomes conditioned by material nature, but in serving the Supreme Lord, he becomes a liberated servant of God. So here in this section, it is very clearly stated that our position and Krishna's position. Krishna is the supreme proprietor, he's the most opulent, he is the supreme, and we are all servants of Krishna. So at first, when first coming into Krishna consciousness, this whole idea that we are servants and Krishna is the supreme and we have to live under his laws and under his direction, it might seem very depressing. Like, I want freedom, why do I have to chant 16 rounds? Why do I have to follow these 4 regulative principles, right? We think of all this stuff and we think it more as restrictive, and we say, well, I want freedom, I want to live my life, so why should I come into this bhakti process where there's so many rules and regulations? But actually, coming into Krishna consciousness and following all these rules and regulations is the ultimate freedom. And there's this very nice short story, it's a true story that happened in Vrindavan. So there was one boy, and he used to go to the temple in Vrindavan every day. Every day, by discipline, he used to go to the temple and take darshan of the deities. However, one day there was a very beautiful girl who started coming to the temple, and the boy saw this girl and he became very attracted to her. So then he became impure. He started going to the temple not to see the deities, but to see the girl. And there was some devotees at the temple who noticed this behavior, this inappropriate behavior, that he was going to see a girl. And they went and told their Guru Maharaj. They said, Guru Maharaj, there's this one boy coming to the temple, and he's coming to not take darshan of the deities, but rather to look at this girl. Please help him. And so the Guru Maharaj said, okay, bring this boy to me in the evening. So the boy went to the Guru Maharaj in the evening, and the Guru Maharaj took this boy into the back rooms of the temple. And in the back rooms of the temple, the Guru Maharaj prayed to Radha Krishna that, Radha Krishna, this boy, he has become so materialistic, he doesn't know anything about your beauty. You're so beautiful, please show him a very, very small glimpse of your beauty. And the Guru Maharaj was a very pure devotee, so Krishna's obviously going to listen to his pure devotees. So then at that moment when the Guru Maharaj prayed this, all the lights in the room went dark. It went completely dark. And then all of a sudden there was this very bright light, like the smallest glimpse of this very, very bright light. And it was a little glimpse of Srimati Radharani, very small glimpse of Srimati Radharani. But seeing that really small glimpse, the boy fainted. The boy fainted, and then later he just was in complete shock. He was like, this is so beautiful. How was I attracted to this girl? Radharani is so beautiful, and I didn't even see the full form of Radharani. I just saw the very, very small glimpse. So how can anything else in this world satisfy me now? She is so beautiful, and this is my ultimate, she is my ultimate goal, this is my ultimate goal. So the moral of this story is that when we come to bhakti, it's not that these 4 regulative principles or that these 16 rounds are binding us or they're restricting us from having fun. Because all the fun that we have in this world comes at some sort of cost. And we all can see this. If you get a very nice job, very high paying job, okay, that's very good news, but then you're gonna have to work extra hours. You're gonna have to give up your family time. You're gonna have to give up your sleep. So it all comes with a cost. Yes, you might have got a nice job, but that came with such a big cost. If you get into a nice college, same thing, keeping up with the academic pressure, staying longer hours to do homework. So whatever it may be in this world, all the enjoyment in this world comes with some sort of backdraw, some sort of cost. However, the enjoyment we get spiritually, on a spiritual level, comes with no cost, only endless bliss. Like the boy saw the smallest glimpse of Srimati Radharani and he was just in awe, like he was in complete shock. And so we need to understand that the world is so temporary, so fragile, but the eternal enjoyment in the spiritual world is forever, and it's so, so blissful, and it's at any cost. So that is why it's the ultimate freedom, is because the enjoyment in spirituality is so great. So this is the next part of the purport. the living entity's constitutional position is to be a servitor. He has to serve either the illusionary Maya or the Supreme Lord. If he serves the Supreme Lord, he is in his normal condition. But if he prefers to serve the illusionary external energy, then certainly he will be in bondage. In illusion, the living entity is serving in this material world. He is bound by his lust and desires, yet he thinks of himself as the master of the world. This is called illusion. So again here, it is stated that we are servants of the Lord. This idea is emphasized so much because it is our constitutional position. Once we understand our constitutional position, we will not ever want to think about it. Krishna is our Supreme Father. He is so opulent. He is so merciful. He is so beautiful. There is not a single quality which Krishna lacks in. He is like the most beautiful, most opulent. He's like indescribable because of how awesome and how supreme he is. And if we understand that he is our servants of this Father, then we are not going to come here in this world as beggars and try to take stuff. Rather, we're going to try to give and lose. Constantly, we're in this world, we're trying to get more money, we're trying to get more fame, we're trying to build all these mundane relationships. But why are we acting like beggars? We need to act as givers. So, times when we chant our 16 rounds, or we try reading Srimad Bhagavatam, or we associate with devotees, we may think, what's the point of all this? I'm not understanding anything, this is confusing, I don't think I'm gaining anything. But it's not always about what you're gaining, it's about what you're losing. We're losing our anger, we're losing our false ego, we're losing our greed, we're losing our pride. So we shouldn't always think, what am I gaining? We're not in this world to gain, we're in this world to lose. We're here to lose all of these false qualities that we have accumulated birth after birth and we've contaminated ourselves with. So it's so important that when we chant, we're not chanting in a mood of, oh, if I chant, I'll gain this. If I chant, I'll gain that. No, I'm going to lose my impure qualities. And losing all of these impure qualities is eventually going to lead to the greatest gain of Krishna Prema. And once you have Krishna Prema, there is nothing in this world that can disturb you, and you will feel the most blissful joy that is so rare to feel in this world. Along with that, we're also here to give. We're here to give Krishna to people. We're here to distribute Bhagavad Gita, distribute this knowledge. We're not here to take anything from this world. We're not here to take money, gains, nothing. We're here to give everything. So we need to always make sure we're distributing the spiritual knowledge. In a practical way, a lot of us are probably going to school or work daily. It's not possible to go there and preach and directly say, come to Krishna consciousness. But what we can do is we can set an example of a good character. So a lot of times, like at my school, there's some special needs kids, and a lot of people, they make fun of those kids. And one day at one of my government table, there's me, a couple more kids, and then there's a special needs kid. And everyone at the table, they keep laughing at him because his actions are like maybe not what we would consider super normal. And one day he did something a little bit what most people would consider odd, and I just, I kept a straight face, I kept doing my work, I didn't mind it at all. And the other people at the table at first, they had started laughing. And then they kind of looked over at me, and then they immediately stopped because they realized what they were doing was wrong. So yes, I didn't directly preach anything to them, but it was a good example. And whenever we can build these habits in people to not laugh at other people and do such bad things, then slowly these will become their second nature too. So what we can do in this material world is influence people to be a better person. Another thing that is stated here is that we can either serve illusion or we can serve Krishna. It's not possible to serve both. So it's like if I'm on a sports team and there's Ohio State and there's Michigan. I can't play on both teams. That wouldn't work like that. I need to choose one. So like that, a lot of times we try doing, I'll be materialistic, I'll try to do all of this money-making stuff, but then at the same time, I'm going to come to the temple and I'm going to be a devotee. It doesn't work like that. It's okay to, obviously go to a job, do studies. These are all things that are necessary. But with what mindset are we doing it with? Are we doing it with the mindset that I'm going to become rich one day? Or are we doing it with the mindset that Krishna has given me this duty, so I'm going to execute it well? So there's this whole big change in mindset that we need to have. So many times we might see that, for example, Team A, like coming back to the sports team example. Team A, they're having so much fun. They're constantly going out to eat. They're having all these retreats with their athletes, and they're doing all these fun things. So it might seem, oh wow, they're such a great team. They're having so much fun and so much bonding experience. Whereas Team B, they're always on the field, whether it be cold, whether it be raining. They're always practicing. They're always very active, day, night, they're practicing. It might seem like, what is this? Like they're not having any fun, they're exhausted, they're miserable. What is this? However, when the competitions come, then Team B is going to win, no doubt. Team A is not ready. They're unfit, they're not ready to play, they don't know how to play. But Team A, they're ready to tackle the field. So Team B is going to do a lot better than Team A. So similarly, at first, Krishna consciousness, speaking from a very surface level point of view, it might seem like, what is this Krishna consciousness? And they're not having all this material fun of going to restaurants, doing parties, doing this, doing that. But when the actual obstacles come in our life, devotees, they never crash down. They always remain very strength. They have a lot of strength to go through the obstacles. They never feel hopeless. However, a lot of times we see materialists, whenever smallest obstacle comes in their life, they'll just start feeling miserable. They'll start questioning their life. But devotees, they'll never do this. They'll just see Krishna's involvement in everything. So also understanding this is very important, because it's like what Srila Prabhupada used to say during his morning walks. One time he was on a morning walk, and it was along the shore of the beach, and one devotee said to Prabhupada, "Prabhupada, look at how beautiful the ocean looks." And Prabhupada started laughing, and he said, "This is exactly what Maya is like. From a distance, looks very beautiful, but right when you get too deep, she's going to suck you in. Just like the ocean, it sucks you in if you get way too deep with its strong waves." So from surface level, it might look like, oh, the materialistic people, the non-devotees, they're having so much fun, but they're getting so sucked in second by second into this material consciousness that is so hard to get out of, and it's this misery. So we need to understand that, okay, at first, a lot of times when we might see materialistic people, we might start questioning, why am I doing this bhakti? What's the point? There's so much fun in this world, what am I doing? But if you're seeing the surface level, but then right when you start going deeper, it's going to suck you in, and it's going to lead to us being in a state of misery. Another thing that is said here is, we need to be, like, being in Krishna consciousness is our normal constitutional position. So many times we use the word normal in terms of what everyone else is doing. But what everyone else is doing is not normal. Normal is our constitutional position of being Krishna conscious is normal. So it's like my hands were made for writing, right? So if I try writing one of my papers at school with my hand, I'm going to be successful, right? It's going to be okay, it's going to be comfortable, and my assignment's going to go well. However, if I used my foot and tried writing my paper, that would not go well. That would be a mess, it would be uncomfortable, a lot of anxiety, and I would fail the assignment, right? So we are almost doing the exact same thing. Krishna has given us this material body not to engage in all this sense gratification, because if we engage in all this sense gratification, we're not using our body for truly what it was meant to do. And that's why these days we see so many people that are experiencing so much anxiety, depression, because they're not utilizing their body for what it's meant to do. So, if I wrote with my foot, I'm not utilizing my foot for what it's meant to do. So we're not utilizing our body for what it's meant to do. But if we engage in Krishna consciousness and we take up to this process and we start practicing like a sincere devotee, then no doubt we won't have that much anxiety. We won't have any anxiety. We won't ever feel depressed. We'll feel happy even when the world throws certain obstacles or unexpected misfortunes at us. So it's very important that we understand what is the purpose of this body. Krishna has given us this body in which we can do so much. We can come to the temple, we can serve him, and if we are misusing it for something else, then we're no better than a thief. Krishna has given us something to utilize in his service, and we're using it for something else. So coming to the now third part of the purport. When a person is liberated, his illusion is over, and he voluntarily surrenders unto the Supreme to act according to his desires. The last illusion, the last snare of Maya to trap the living entity is the proposition that he is God. The living entity thinks that he is no longer a conditioned soul, but God. He is so unintelligent that he does not think that if he were God, then how could he be in doubt? That he does not consider. So that is the last snare of illusion. Actually, to become free from the illusionary energy is to understand Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and agree to act according to his order. So here it's very clearly stated that a devotee, his desires are supposed to align with the Supreme. He does not have desires that I want this, I want that, but rather he puts his life on Krishna and says, Krishna, whatever is best for me, whatever you desire for me, you please give me. So now our desires are aligned with Krishna. And many times we hear this and we get super nervous, like, how do you expect me to just, surrender everything onto someone? And the truth is that Krishna loves us so much. He loves us so much. And if we can understand this one thing, then we'll understand that Krishna can never want anything bad for us. For example, a parent, they never wish anything bad on their child. They don't say, oh, I want this bad thing to happen to my child. No, they can only think of good things happening to their child. So similarly, Krishna is like our supreme parent. He can only think of good things happening to us. So at first, what might seem like this is so unfortunate is actually a good thing for us, because Krishna, he's only planning good things for us. But we have to let him do that. A lot of times is we don't let go of the rope and we just keep pulling. When Krishna, he's trying to pull, but then we just keep pulling and we say, no, I'm right. And then we don't let Krishna do what he would have done perfectly in our life. So it's important that we understand Krishna loves us so, so much. So how can he have any sort of bad desire or negative desire for us? And many times when devotees, they first come to the temple, they ask, have you seen God before? And the devotee will say, no, I haven't seen God before, but I feel him always. I feel his presence everywhere. I feel his involvement everywhere. Every situation that comes in our life is a mercy of Krishna. And if you really go back into your life and you think, what are all the bad things that have happened to me and what are all the good things that have happened to me, you will realize that everything ended up working out. It all ended up teaching you something. For example, at the beginning of the year, this year I was taking an AP class, so it was a little bit harder. And at the beginning of the year, I had studied a lot for this test I had. And I had studied so much. And then I did the test, and when I got my results back, I was very disappointed because it was not what I wanted at all. It was really bad. And seeing this, it was a big disappointment. I spent hours studying for this test. What happened? Why did I not perform well? And so then later that night, I did some research on better ways to study for psychology. I looked at some YouTube teachers, and I ended up finding this really good website that had everything I needed for the class on it. And then, from then on, I started using this website to study for all my tests and to study for all my classes. And from then on, I was super successful in the class. I just needed to find this resource, because this resource, it made me understand all the content in so much depth. The videos were very helpful. However, if I hadn't done bad on that first test, I wouldn't have done the research. I wouldn't have got the intelligence to do all this research to go and find this new resource, because if I hadn't found that resource, even speaking right now, I don't think I would have done good in the class. But because I spent time to find this, I was able to perform well in the class. So yes, at first it was a disappointment, but then later I figured out it was actually Krishna's arrangement. He wanted me to be successful later on, so he gave me the intelligence by giving me this bad result, he gave me the intelligence so that I could go find this study tool. So we need to understand that rather than when struggles come in our life, being in sorrow, being in despair, take it as an opportunity to grow your intelligence, take it as an opportunity to get better. So another practical application that we can all start doing in our life is we need to act according to Krishna's order. But what's a practical way to do so? It's way easier said than actually done. Is every day in the morning, before you start your day, just open the Bhagavad Gita to a random page, and then whatever verse your eyes first go on, read that verse, read the purport, and then just think of 2 to 3 ways in which you're going to implement that verse into your life that day. So whatever verse you land on, for example, if I landed on 18.73, what we're talking about today, then I could say, okay, so it's about surrender and how I need to surrender unto Krishna. So then I could say one practical way I'm going to apply this in my life is I'm going to, after every one of my classes, I'm going to say Krishna in my head, I'm going to say, Krishna, everything I've done thus far, I offer to your lotus feet. All this math I've done, everything I've done, I offer to your lotus feet. So that could be a good way for me to practice surrender. And then, periodically, every hour, whatever fits your schedule, just in your head think, have I applied that verse to my life so far in my day? And that will just, every day you'll be focusing on a new verse, a new instruction of Krishna. And that'll just help you build that habit slowly, and it'll help you be focused on one thing. A lot of times, we try focusing on all the instructions on once. We say, I'm going to apply the whole Bhagavad Gita in my life now. I'm not going to fault find. I'm going to chant my rounds nicely. But doing everything at once is very overwhelming, and a lot of times when we fail, it just leads us to feel like we're failures. So rather, focusing on one thing at a time every day can really help. So just before you start your day, open a random Bhagavad Gita verse and read it, and then think of a couple ways in which you can practically apply that to your life. So this is now coming to the third part of the purport. The word moha is very important in this verse. Moha refers to that which is opposed to knowledge. Actually, real knowledge is the understanding that every living being is eternally a servitor of the Lord. But instead of thinking oneself in that position, the living entity thinks that he is not a servant, that he is the master of this material world. For he wants to lord it over the material nature. That is his illusion. This illusion can be overcome by the mercy of the Lord or by the mercy of a pure devotee. When that illusion is over, one agrees to act in Krishna consciousness. So here it refers to the word moha as someone who is opposed to knowledge. So we need to understand that most of us, as we had said, we're probably in material settings, at school, at work, we're in very materialistic settings. And if we are constantly associated with people who are material, then we're going to become contaminated. So what's the main difference between material association and spiritual association? Why do we say you should associate with devotees? What's the reason? And the main reason is that materialists, they make us forget the instructions of the scriptures, whereas devotees, they always constantly, whether it be through their actions or through their words, they constantly remind us of the instructions of the Bhagavad Gita and scriptures. So that is the main difference between the two types of association, is that one makes us forget Krishna consciousness while the other makes us remember scripture. So the main problem is that, so when we are around more materialists, it's often said that if you want to figure out someone's character, or you want to figure out someone's attitude, you should see who they're around. Because whoever they're around, they're going to become like. Even if they try not to become like, they will become like. And there's a very nice, commonly known story that Prabhupada used to say regarding material association. So there was a monkey, and he was in the tree. And then there was an alligator in the pond. And the alligator was going by, and the monkey said, I'm getting very bored of being in all these trees. Can you please take me on a ride on your back? So the alligator said yes. And so then the monkey, he went onto the back of the alligator, and they started going on sightseeing. And then in the middle, the alligator stopped, and he said, now I'm going to rip you apart and eat your heart. And the monkey said, but I left my heart in the tree. My heart's in the tree. Can you please turn around, and then I can go and get my heart, and then you can eat it. And then the alligator said, okay. So the alligator turned back around, he started going to the tree, and then when they got to the tree, the monkey jumped off and just climbed, and obviously you can imagine, never went back to the alligator. So what this story tells us is that it's okay to be with materialistic people, but you should never give your heart to them. In other words, you should never reveal your inner feelings, your thoughts, your emotions. You should never get into so much of an intimate association or connection with them. And the reason for that is because when we do that, they're going to change the way we think about ourselves and the world. For example, if I went and told someone about a situation in my life, they could give me advice, and that advice could be actually really bad. But I could maybe, the way they say it, maybe I could think, oh, they only want the best for me, I should take their advice. And then I could take that advice, and that could destroy my consciousness. So it's important that it's okay to be with materialistic people, to have, vague, broad, general conversations, but we never want to get into so much detail about our personal life or how we're feeling, our frustrations. These things are never okay to have conversation, especially with the materialistic person, because they will change our consciousness. So That's what it means when they say don't give your heart to materialistic people. Don't express your inner thoughts and emotions to them. And one other thing that we can often notice is that most of the problems that we have internally in this world are because of other people, right? We might say, so-and-so was so annoying today, so now I'm very frustrated, that's why I'm so sad. This person said this to me today, so now I'm feeling very sad, angry, whatever it may be. Most of our problems in this world, because we're so contaminated, come from other people. And so it's important that even with a devotee, we're not ever talking about this. We're not saying, oh Mataji, this person told me this today, and now I'm feeling so sad. Because not only are we contaminating ourselves by gossiping, but we're also contaminating the devotee in front of us by gossiping. So this type of conversation should never happen with anyone except Krishna. Because Krishna, you can't change his thought process. You can't make Krishna think that someone is bad. So Krishna he equally loves all of his students, all of his kids, and he loves us all so much that he can never lose a speck of even the most little love for us. So we should go tell Krishna. If we're feeling frustrated with someone, that's okay. You can go express your emotions to Krishna, right? Just sit in front of Krishna and just talk to him and say, this happened to me, I was feeling so frustrated, please guide me, please guide the other person, I don't want to feel this way. And yes, Krishna might not, literally in front of you respond with words, but you will see that you will gain the intelligence, or that he will put something in your mind to be able to react or feel better. So if you're ever struggling with a hard decision, many times it's easy to get perplexed, overwhelmed, overcomplicate the decision, but rather immediately, whenever you have any sort of struggle or complication in your life, you should go to Krishna, and Krishna say, I'm struggling between choice A and choice B, I don't know which one to do, please guide me, please help me, and make the decision that is best for me. And you will see, yes, he might not respond right in front of you like that, but you will see maybe even within a couple of minutes or hours, there will be a very obvious sign as to which decision is best for you. So maybe that's someone coming and telling you, oh, I think you should do this for this and this reason. Or maybe in your mind, you'll just get the intelligence that, oh, obviously decision B is better for me. How was I even thinking of decision A? So we should never doubt Krishna and say, oh, well, he's never going to respond anyway. He will respond, but his ways of responding are very different. So we need to understand that difference is not a bad thing. In this world, a lot of times we're used to immediate answers, but those immediate answers aren't always very quality answers. So if we want the true quality answer, the true quality guidance, we should go to Krishna. So it's important we need to talk to Krishna and not be gossiping ever to anyone, even if it is a devotee, because then we're contaminating both sides of it. So this next purport is a very good summary of everything we've covered thus far, so we can read this. Krishna consciousness is acting according to Krishna's order. A conditioned soul illusioned by the external energy of matter does not know that the Supreme Lord is a master, who is full of knowledge and who is the proprietor of everything. Whatever he desires, he can bestow upon his devotees. He is the friend of everyone, and he is especially inclined to his devotee. He is the controller of this material nature and of all living entities. He is also the controller of inexhaustible time. And he is full of all opulences and all potencies. The Supreme Personality of Godhead can even give himself to the devotee. One who does not know him is under the spell of illusion. He does not become a devotee, but a servitor of Maya. Arjuna, however, after hearing Bhagavad Gita from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, became free from all illusion. He could understand that Krishna was not only his friend, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he understood Krishna factually. So to study Bhagavad Gita is to understand Krishna factually. When a person is in full knowledge, he naturally surrenders to Krishna. When Arjuna understood that it was Krishna's plan to reduce the unnecessary increase of population, he agreed to fight according to Krishna's desire. He again took up his weapons, his arrows and bow, to fight under the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, kind of covering everything we've talked about so far, following the Bhagavad Gita, and understanding Krishna's position and our position. So now that we understand this, it's important to see what are the setbacks, right? Many times, one day we'll get motivation that, okay, we're going to start chanting 16 rounds very sincerely, we're not going to fault find in anyone, we're going to do everything for the service of Krishna. We get into this mood and then we start progressing, and all of a sudden there's this barrier, and then we start turning around and kind of coming backwards again. So what are the main two things that cause this is what we'll talk about now and how to prevent them. So the first thing is we experience problems in life, and these problems in life make us question, does Krishna really exist? And then we stop, when these problems come in our life, we stop chanting, we stop doing all of these things, and then these make us, kind of backtrack toward our progress. So problem is actually a very nice acronym, and each letter can remind us of something that we should do when we're in a problem. So we'll talk about each of them, but P is for perspective, R is for remembering Krishna, O is for opportunity for growth, B is for balance, L is for love, E is for empathy, and M is mercy in disguise. So we'll start by talking about P, perspective. When a problem comes in our life, it's easy to think, this is miserable, but we need to change it and understand that, like Prabhupada, he actually had such a good perspective. One time he got a cut on his finger and some blood started coming out. And all the devotees were like, oh no, Prabhupada, okay, and they were rushing to get him a Band-Aid. And Prabhupada said, no, it's okay, I should have actually had my head chopped off. But Krishna's so merciful that he only got the suffering through by just a little bloody finger. So Krishna's so merciful. So having that perspective that we don't know what was actually supposed to happen to us, Krishna reduced that suffering by so much into only this little suffering that I have right now. And if we think of it like this, we will see Krishna as such a helpful, merciful figure rather than a punisher. Because Krishna's not punishing us. He's actually decreasing our suffering by so much. And there's this one really nice story. This devotee, he was in India, and he was on a plane. He was taking a domestic plane in India. And he was sitting on the plane, and there was some, random people around him. And the pilot had announced a couple minutes before that we're going to go through some very, very rough turbulence, so everyone please stay seated for the remainder of the flight. It's going to be a lot of turbulence. And so everyone's seated, and then all the turbulence is so bad. The plane's shaking and people are questioning, will this plane crash? What's going to happen? The turbulence was crazy. So the devotee, he starts chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And the person sitting next to him says, you really think your Krishna's going to save you in this situation? He was taunting. And the devotee said, no, I don't think Krishna will save me. But Krishna has said that anyone who chants my name at the time of death is sure to go back home, back to Godhead. There is nowhere else where the person can go. And however, I'm not a pure devotee, but I'm chanting Krishna's name. So I'm sure to go back home, back to Godhead, even though I'm not a pure devotee. And since I'm such a rascal, and Krishna doesn't want to tolerate a person like me in Goloka, but I'm chanting his holy name right now, so I have to go to Goloka, Krishna's going to make sure I don't die. So that's such a nice perspective. The devotee has so much faith. Devotee has so much faith on not only the words of Krishna, but also such a nice perspective. Krishna's gonna make sure I don't die. And it's such a nice, he has so much faith in the scripture. It's not easy to just think that anyone who chants name at the time of death is gonna go back home, back to Godhead. So it's such a nice, perspective, such a nice thought, and that just is something that I know, that story kind of encouraged me. Even though I'm not a pure devotee, Krishna's still there for you, and he's still super, personally involved in your life. So that's for P. R is for remembering Krishna. So we can even see Prahlad Maharaj. He went through so much suffering by his father, by his own father. His father, put him in near-death situations. But at the end, through all those situations, he didn't forget Krishna. He remembered Krishna. He kept steady in his spiritual practices. And then he became such a great devotee. And even we can see with His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, if you read his book, The Journey Home, you can see how much suffering he went through. He went through multiple near-death experiences in such a short amount of time. But now he remembered Krishna through all those experiences. He didn't forget Krishna. He didn't question God. And now look at where he is right now. Such a pure devotee, and he's full of bliss, always so happy. So remembering Krishna, many devotees who become so great is because during the hard times they remembered Krishna and they remained steady in their spiritual practices. So it's always important that that's what we're doing too. We're not forgetting Krishna, we're not questioning Krishna, we're remaining steady, and we're taking it as Krishna's testing me. Krishna's seeing if I'm going to remain steady in my devotional services. So that's for R. for remembering Krishna. O is opportunity for growth. None of us would have been where we're at today if we didn't have some problem that helped us grow. So like I had given my example of the test going bad, that actually led me to grow into a better student. So whatever problem we have in our life, we need to really sit and think and maybe even analyze, what can this problem teach me about life? So maybe it's building your emotional strength, maybe it's building your physical strength. It can be doing many things. So instead of seeing, oh, this problem is, maybe if it's a health problem, oh, this problem is not letting me move properly. We should see Krishna's building my physical tolerance. So whatever problems we have, they're building something in us. They're not ever taking away. The next thing is balance. So if we're having a very good day, it's very easy to go out and be very nice to people, be humble. That's very easy. But then if you're ever experiencing a problem or distress in life, becoming very nice and humble is not so easy anymore, right? We feel frustrated and we take that out on people. So balancing, we always want to, that's what sets a devotee apart from a materialist. Devotees, they'll always be very happy. They'll always be blissful no matter what they're going through. Sometimes, in fact, we see a devotee and they're always so nice, they're always so humble that we think, oh, their life is perfect. But then we hear about maybe what's going on behind the scenes in their life and we're like, how did you manage to stay so humble and put together when you were going through such a hard thing in your life? Whereas materialists, many times, if they're having a good day, they'll be very nice, and then, something bad will happen in their life and become very frustrated, very distressed, and they start taking that out on people. So whenever there's a problem in our life, we should see it as an opportunity that Krishna is teaching me how to always balance my emotions, how to always be a good person, how to always remain steady. So if we're having a good day and everything's perfect, it's not hard to finish your japa. But the times when problems come, that's when it's hard to finish your japa. So we should take that as, oh, Krishna's testing me. He's seeing that if I'll still be able to finish my japa, even though I'm experiencing this problem. And that's such an enthusiastic point of view, enthusiastic way to look at it, because we won't see it as a barrier. We'll see it as oh, I need to cross this because Krishna's seeing my tolerance, my endurance. So next, L for love, seeing Krishna's love. Like we had given the Prabhupada example. Prabhupada, in that, when he got the cut on his finger, he only saw Krishna's love. He didn't see the cut on his finger. So we need to see every problem as a sign of Krishna's love. In fact, some of the problems that I've had in my life, I don't think I would have been able to become I think those problems all helped me become a better person. And now, during the problem, I might have not said, oh, thank you, Krishna, for giving me this problem. But now I can definitely look back and say, thank you, Krishna, for giving me this problem, because it has taught me so much. So for example, if a parent takes away a child's phone because the child has way too much screen time, at first the child might say, what is this? They might say bad things to their parents, you don't know anything, my phone, I'm not distracted by it. But then later, when the child gets good grades on his test because, his parent had his phone, he might actually be thankful to the parent. Thank you for taking away my phone, because otherwise I don't know what would have happened to my test. I would have been so distracted by my phone that I wouldn't have spent the proper time to study. So what might seem like tragedy right now can actually be a biggest sign of Krishna's love later. So next, E for empathy. There's a very big difference between empathy and sympathy. It's very easy to sympathize with people. If someone tells you they're going through something in life, then it's very easy to say, oh, I'm so sorry you're having to go through that. Is there anything I can do? Please, I'm always here to help. Please let me know if there's anything I can do. Doing that is very easy. However, being able to empathize with people on that deeper level is not easy. If you understand what someone is going through because you have been through that problem, you'll be able to connect with the person. You'll be able to build a better relationship with them. Your conversation will go deeper than, if there's anything I can do to help, please let me know. Because you'll almost be almost a therapist for them, because you have gone through that problem, so then you can give advice. And you can say, when I was going through this problem, doing these couple of things really helped me. Maybe you should try that. And if you haven't gone through the problem, you can give very vague advice, but it won't be on that personal level. So, we can actually see a problem as a way to help other people, that later, when I see someone else who has gone through this similar problem, I can help them. So having that mindset of always wanting to be there for people, always wanting to help, is very, very important. So next, M, mercy in disguise. So again, these same ideas keep popping up of love, perspective. Krishna's like all the problems Krishna gives us, as we had said earlier, Krishna has a perfect plan for each and every one of us. But many times we don't see that plan because we try, we lose faith and we say, oh, no, now I have to take care of it. What is Krishna going to take care of? But if we don't do that, then we will see that every single problem that we have in our life is a mercy, and it's building up that puzzle of our perfect life, of being a good devotee, and even having material success. So those are also some things important to note. The second thing, so that's the problem acronym. The second thing that why often we're not able to get to the level of surrender is because we have a lack of knowledge of God. How can you love someone you know nothing about? If you're going to go get married, you're not just going to hear the name of the person and then go get married to them. You're going to want to know more about them, what they like, what they do. So it's the same thing. How can we love Krishna just by knowing, oh, Krishna's there? No, we have to, take darshan, we have to read Krishna book. And if you're not a big fan of reading, you can listen to Krishna Katha as well. There's so many nice Krishna Kathas. So every day, even if it's just 5 minutes, make it your goal that by the end of the day, I'm going to know a new quality about Krishna. I'm going to know something new about Krishna. And if you do that slowly every day, you'll see that your interest toward learning more about Krishna is going to increase. And many times, if you have a lot of love for someone, you're going to want to know more about them. So that's also a very good way to develop love for someone. So just, I want to conclude by saying that many times we have thoughts in our mind and then we start entertaining those thoughts. We get negative thought that, oh, what if this happens instead of this? So rather than entertaining those thoughts, every time a negative thought comes in our mind, as soon as you realize that I'm thinking a negative thought, just immediately, put your mind to Krishna and say a Maha Mantra, and then say, Krishna, please, try to help such a fallen soul like me not have thoughts like this anymore. So it's important we're not surrendering unto our mind, but rather unto Krishna. So every time a negative thought comes, think of Krishna. So I will conclude by saying that, but I just want to thank all of you so much. I could feel the support from here, and I'm definitely not qualified to give this class today, but with the mercy of the devotees and for Brangalas Prabhuji giving me this opportunity to speak today, I was able to also improve on my understanding of the Bhagavad Gita. So I want to thank all of you so much. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
We have about 10 minutes if there's any questions for our
First of all, the meaning of moha, the true meaning, is not opposed to knowledge. The true meaning of moha is illusion. And second is, you mentioned that a devotee goes to mass, it's like material, whatever, and within 5 minutes I get contaminated. Then I have to think that it is my problem. That means I have to chant more sincerely. It's something with my spirituality. Because somebody can contaminate me within 5 minutes, then I'm not a devotee. So, and in Buddhist theology, there is a say called, what is called? Grow in silence. So talk less. Silence is a great quality. Only to talk when it needed. Otherwise, grow in silence. And focus on my spirituality. So if I get contaminated 5 minutes, that's a problem in me, not the materialistic. So I should chant more. It's not a one day this verse, one day this verse. Start, because chanting is a connection. Start with chanting. Whenever you feel low or something, it doesn't matter. Start chanting. Because it's a connection.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing. That's such an important point that we also need to focus on our own personal.
Silence. It's
Yes.
another Buddhist monks teach us. Grow in silence.
Hare Krishna, Anandya Devi Dasi Mataji, was a wonderful class. So just few reflections that I gathered from today's class. First of all, when I grow up, I want to become a fraction of you. Whatever lifetime it takes. So amazing class. 3 things that I most importantly learned is do bhakti not to gain but to lose your anger, your false pride, your ego. Second, team B is to be a great thing, to be in the company of Bansuri Wala, Barsane Wali, do bhakti, be balanced and be blissful. And third thing that resonated with me is P for is always is not a problem. If you hit P for problem, change P for perspective. So thank you so very much for all this. Wonderful.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you very much. It's really amazing class, very nice class. So it's very inspiring. So I have a question, like when we are going through some problem in life, then like we are chanting the 16 round and everything, and we think Krishna will take care. But sometimes I feel like I am in control, not Krishna. I just need to get run and finish this problem. Why is this happening? Do you have some? Do you face this situation like now? Krishna is not. I am the controller.
Yes, that always that always comes in mind, that if you're experiencing a problem, the need for you to want to personally get involved. And that's the hardest part, is letting go, because we're not used to letting go. We're used to holding on to everything so tight and taking care of it ourselves. So the main thing I have seen is you do your duty, right? Like if there's a problem coming in your life, you do your duty, whatever you need to do, but then you leave the result on Krishna. And it's sometimes really hard, and it can feel very pressure, but we just need to let go. So do your duty, part of the duty, and then let go.
But that time is very crucial, you just cannot wait now, you want to get out of that situation. That's what happened.
Yeah, we need to leave it on Krishna. So if there is something that you can do to maybe get yourself faster out of the situation, you can do that. But ultimately, we're not in control of anything. If the problem needs to go on, it will continue to go on no matter how many efforts we put in to try to stop the problem. It will keep going on and on. So it's ultimately not in our control. I mean, I know so many times in my life I have seen that if there's something negative happening, I could put in all my effort to stop this negative thing from happening, but then later some other problem will come. So ultimately it's not in our control at all, and if we understand that it's not in my control, I'll do my duty, I'll do what Krishna has given me the intelligence to do, but then we need to leave the result to Krishna. And even if it's that little crucial time that, I can't tolerate this anymore, I can't do this anymore, the biggest thing that we can do is pray. Because he is the only one who can actually do something. We can't do
the
anything.
second question is you said, when we are in problem, it's hard to chant, but still we are chanting, but those rounds are not good. Because I'm not happy inside, But I'm still finishing my round just to finish it, There is no love, nothing. It's just chanting it, because I have to finish my 16 rounds. So that happened to me,
Yeah, and the fact that the main thing is if you can just get yourself to do your rounds, that's a good thing. But if we can see, if all that problem acronym, if we can just realize that all problems are a sign of Krishna's love, we will actually be able to chant with a little bit of affection. So the fact that even during a hard time you're doing your rounds is a very great thing. But if you want to bring some more affection into it, just remember that any problem is a mercy in disguise. It's Krishna's love.
Thank you so much.
There is a term called destiny. You have to believe in that. And more you know you are in exercise, more you think you can chant. It's duty. Maybe love is not there, but there is no other option.
I have few things to say. It's an amazing class, Mataji. Thank you. I just want to recall my first grader. She took reflections from the class, and I just read that. I think that will be self-explanatory on how great this lecture has been. Never blame Krishna. He has a great plan. You should probably see the spellings. Never think this world is better than Krishna's world. Never think you're better than Krishna. We are his servants. Don't give your heart to bad people. Always go to Krishna, never go to anyone else. Don't say I will get this, I will get that. You will always lose. If you have a boo-boo, don't cry. Be thankful that it's not so bad. Always remember Krishna. You'll always stay happy. Always think of the brighter side. Don't just say things like I can help you. Do something about it. Don't just say I love Krishna. Know more about it.
That's so
One thing about Naveen said that you should not share the feelings, but with whom? With devotee or non-devotee? non-devotee. So, but we have some friends or some family members which will not be a devotee, but still they gave us a good advice. Then what about that?
So whenever someone gives us advice, it's important that it doesn't mean that if it's coming from a non-devotee, it has to be bad advice. That's not true, but whatever advice we get, we should never blindly follow. We should always, maybe at night think, this advice, will this actually help me? Kind of analyze it, see if it aligns with the scripture, and if it does, then you should apply it to your life. So it's important that you're not blindly saying, oh, well, this person told me this advice, so I should just follow it. In your head, like open the Bhagavad Gita, read the Bhagavad Gita, or see, will this advice actually help me? So it's important that you have that personal reflection on it, not just more the saying was don't blindly follow it.
Would you all stand up for